What happens when one hard foul turns a basketball game into a national debate? That's exactly what happened Saturday night, when Chicago Sky guard DiJonai Carrington chased down Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham and delivered a hit that instantly changed the temperature inside the arena. The officials reviewed the play and upgraded it to a Flagrant 2, sending Carrington to the locker room. But then the story moved far beyond basketball, because Carrington took to social media with a message accusing the Indiana Fever of benefiting from white privilege, and suddenly even Florida's Attorney General wanted in on the conversation. The play itself was hard to miss. Cunningham was racing toward the basket on a fast break when Carrington came from behind and caught her across the head and neck with her left arm, sending Cunningham to the floor as she finished the layup. Cunningham immediately got back up, the two players briefly went face-to-face, and teammates stepped in before the situation could turn into something even bigger. After reviewing the contact, the officials determined that it met the standard for a Flagrant 2, which meant an automatic ejection for Carrington. And here's where this story gets much bigger than one foul. Carrington later posted "white privilege" while tagging the Indiana Fever, apparently suggesting that race played a role in how the incident was handled. Carrington did not give reporters an explanation after the game, while her coach indicated that the team would address the social media post internally. Cunningham, meanwhile, pushed back on the idea that the call had anything to do with race, pointing to a previous incident in which she herself had been ejected for a similar type of foul. That distinction matters, because there are really two separate questions here. The first is whether Carrington's foul deserved a Flagrant 2. The officials clearly decided it did. The second is whether Cunningham received different treatment because she is white, and on that point, the available public evidence does not establish that claim. In fact, the referee crew defended the decision not to penalize Cunningham further, while Fever coach Stephanie White said the ruling on Carrington was appropriate even though she believed the contact may not have been intentional. But the history between these players and their teams is part of why this exploded so quickly. The Fever and Sky rivalry has already become one of the most closely watched matchups in women's basketball, with Caitlin Clark at the center of much of that attention. Carrington has also been involved in previous heated moments involving Clark and Indiana, while Cunningham has become one of the league's most outspoken players away from the court. That means when something dramatic happens between these teams, people aren't watching it in a vacuum. They're bringing the entire history with them. Then came Florida Attorney General James Uthmere. After seeing the controversy, Uthmere weighed in on social media with a tongue-in-cheek explanation for why Florida currently doesn't have a WNBA franchise, essentially suggesting that an incident like this wouldn't happen in the Sunshine State. Whether the post was meant purely as a joke or as a broader political jab, it was enough to pull a state attorney general into an already explosive sports conversation. His office was contacted for further comment, but no additional response had been publicly confirmed in the reporting available at the time. And there's actually some history behind the Florida part of the joke. The state once had not one, but two WNBA franchises. The Orlando Miracle entered the league in 1999 and played through 2002 before the franchise was purchased and moved to Connecticut, becoming the Connecticut Sun. Miami also had the Miami Soul from 2000 through 2002, finishing with a perfectly even 48-48 record across 3 seasons before the franchise folded. Florida has been without a WNBA team ever since. That makes Uthmere's comment especially interesting because the WNBA is now in a completely different business environment than it was 2 decades ago. The league has expanded to 15 teams in 2026 with the arrival of the Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo, and expansion teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia are already approved for future seasons. The WNBA has also announced plans to increase the regular season from 44 games to 50 beginning in 2027. In other words, the league is actively growing, even as Florida remains on the outside looking in. So the big question now isn't just whether Carrington will face additional discipline. It's what the league decides to do with the controversy surrounding her social media post, and whether this becomes another chapter in the increasingly intense rivalry surrounding Indiana. A basketball game that should have been remembered for a Fever victory instead became a conversation about officiating, race, player conduct, social media, and even the future of professional women's basketball in Florida. And that's exactly why this story isn't going away with the final buzzer. If you found this update helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Prime Wire, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest news. Thanks for watching.